boy, do I have a treat for you. Today we get to go to a very, very cool studio, the Music Group. Let's go. Seems like studio tours are all the rage on the old YouTubes. I'll get in on the action. And there's some news coming soon. All 7 of you are going to be really excited about it. I know I am. But anyways, today we're going to the Music Group. We're going to go visit my friend LG Hamilton. This is where we did some of the mix for Eddie, which is available now on Hulu, Amazon. That was the film I referred to as being kind of the start of my career, as it were. The Music Group is an awesome commercial studio. It's like legit. We get into the story of how it came to be. There's so much cool gear here. They've got an awesome collection of gear that I didn't even, I've worked there a few times now. I didn't even know they had, but, what's that? You want to see some cool gear? Yeah. You want to visit a cool studio? Hey, me too. Let's do it. What's up, LG?
Hey, bro, how you doing?
Good to see you, my guy.
Good to see you, too.
Where are we? What are we doing today?
It's the Music Group.
The Music Group. Are we in Edmond or are we in North Oklahoma City?
You know, I think technically we're in Oklahoma City.
Okay.
So I get to pay cheaper utilities, so let's keep it that way.
How do you describe this studio? Because I tell people it's commercial, but is that proper?
I mean, it is a commercial studio because we do it for a living.
That's true.
But our goal here, we want this to be kind of the sound city of Oklahoma City.
Okay.
We don't want it to feel like a place where you do commercials, even though we do commercials.
Yeah.
We just want it to be a great creative space. So we have 2 studios.
Yeah.
Totally different vibes. You've been in them.
I've
been blessed to have you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I've been lucky to do a lot of work here.
Yeah.
I was telling them before we walked in, we did the Eddie mix here.
Gosh, still one of my favorite projects.
Oh, and Steven and I, Steven Jeffrey and I did a lot of tracking for some of the more like old school tracks that are on that soundtrack. We did 29 songs, 29 cues for that because it's a feature. So.
Right.
But anyways, let's take a look around.
Let's start here because I got a new feeture.
Oh, what's the new
Seen
feature?
yet. If you see up there, you see a speaker and a couple mics. So one day Trent Austin was in the studio playing drums.
The legendary Trent Austin.
The legendary. And I walked by the hall here back towards the studio and I could hear his snare ringing out here. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's a really incredible sound. And if you notice, I'm going to clap here. There's no flutter.
It's true.
So it's just an accident that this room sounds like a great chamber with no weird sound anomalies. So we brought a couple of mics out here and mic'd his snare out here and recorded it. It was so great, we decided to just wire the console. So now it's on an aux send, and we can send anything out here, and it sounds great.
Dude, it kind of reminds me of what Jaron's done in Marlowe.
Yes.
With his old
with
jail
the jail
cell, which
yeah.
we're gonna tour that once he's done. I actually think I'm gonna go and get him when because he's building it
in
out
the middle
right
of it.
now.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Great. I mean, maybe you go both times, in the middle and then when it's all
Yes,
done.
exactly.
Yeah, that's great.
What mics are up there?
Those are just SM81s.
I thought so.
Yeah.
And then do you bring like in a mono, or you can bring in whatever you want, right?
Yeah. So I mean, it would be a typical old-fashioned aux send where you're sending mono but recording back stereo.
Cool.
So.
Dude, awesome.
Yeah.
So foyer turned like a chamber.
Turned into a chamber. Now I can't always run things out here, but what I like to do is once I know I want to use it, I wait till it's early morning, no one's here, and then I print it. So I don't have to keep feeding sound throughout the whole building.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. So this used to be what was called Studio C, and it's where I programmed and I had all my keyboards.
There's
up, William? Good buddy.
Hey, William.
So it used to be where I programmed and did a lot of that, but it's kind of just an office now.
Kind of a little project studio, sort of. Take a look in there. Is that a Slate? Yep, Raven.
A Raven.
Yeah. Cool.
And then typical break room, just a great place to hang out and have lunch.
Yeah. Do you have any snacks?
We don't have any snacks, but we probably have some water and juice.
You have. Look at all this. That is insane.
I'll tell you what. Here's a great time to plug this. I don't know if you all have seen these. Since we're talking.
No, let's get sponsored.
This is pressed juice.
What do we got?
But it's only available at 7-Eleven. I know that sounds weird. These are
interesting.
incredible. You got to check these out.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
Good stuff.
What is that flavor?
This flavor is tart cherry, carrot, blackberry, pomegranate, bilberry.
That actually sounds pretty good.
It's great stuff.
Yeah.
But then the coffee machine is really the most important part.
That's true. We had a lot of coffee here.
Yeah.
Rams fan?
Of course.
Are you happy or sad that they're in LA?
Great question. I don't really care because I'm not an LA fan. I'm a Rams fan.
Yeah.
But I am sorry that they're there because I probably won't go see them. Oh, this is the most important part of the
Yeah, what do we have
right
here? The only thing that's a bummer is that your name's not on it.
Oh, it's okay. You don't put guys who mix on the poster.
I guess that's true.
Your name's on it, though.
My name is on it.
So what I need is an autograph right there.
We'll come and get that taken care of.
Yeah.
The world's least valuable autograph.
Whatever. Watch your step coming up. The wood steps up a little bit. You know what? Let's go to Studio B first.
Studio
Let's
B.
save this.
Studio
so
B.
You head down the hall.
Oh, you've done some things.
Have we?
Well, there's more gear. This.
So this is like 1983. It's the original. It's not the new ones they're selling. And I just sent it off to, it's a place called Wine Country Sequential, and they cleaned it up, fixed it. It's like good as new. It's incredible.
Dude.
So, and the day...
So this is yours?
This is mine, yeah. The day that the new ones came out, you know, because they make these again. I don't know if you... Like,
yes.
I literally got mine back from Wine Country within a week of the new ones coming out. This was probably worth about $3,500, $4,000. It's now worth about $8,000.
Hey,
because they make new ones. So
yeah.
now I won't sell it, but you know, times ever get tough.
Yeah.
But I mean, this thing looks brand new. It's just,
dude, it's beautiful.
It's incredible.
I mean, these are the types of things I salivate over, and these are the reasons why we come and do these studio tours, because this is the fun stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We're actually touring Walrus after this.
So the guys at Walrus
They're amazing.
Amazing.
They're incredible people.
Yeah, they sent over 7 pedals that now it's just made this thing incredible. And as you can see, there's a couple set up. We got a couple over there. Walrus is ridiculous.
Yes. One thing before we move on to the amazing console, which still doesn't even touch the other amazing console.
Right.
This guy.
Yeah.
Did you move this from Studio A?
No, we have one in both rooms.
Of course you do. Of course you do. What's the story behind the brief story behind the music group? Like who, what,
okay,
why,
great question.
when?
So I have a partner, Chris Friels, who's a legendary engineer and mixed a lot of great records. And he had a studio called West Second, and I had a studio called Hamilton House Studio D. We both wanted to build a facility like this, but neither one of us could afford to build it. Plus, you don't always need all these rooms every day. So we thought, hey, if we could build a 2-room studio where we could each take advantage of the spaces we don't need every day, we could afford to do that. In the midst of building this building, because we built it from the ground up, this isn't like a retrofit building. In the midst of doing that, we just merged, became one studio.
And when was this?
2005.
So this was, how long did the build out take?
Gosh, it seems like about a year, probably.
So what's behind me here?
So that is called a NEVE Genesys Black. And it's a fully analog console, except this middle section is a Pro Tools controller.
I remember that.
Yeah, so this is a great console for someone who's working in the box, but wants to sum out and have access to the NEVE summing mixer.
Yeah.
So basically, this still controls Pro Tools, and it's a touch screen, so you can do all your mixing in the box, but still send out stems to the analog channels. All these have 1073 mic pre's, which, you know, that's the mic pre. Everything wants to be a 1073. So.
Yeah, everyone's like, check out our 1073 modded, check out our 1073 modeled. Okay, so I remember working in here on Eddie, and Steven would be in there tracking, and I don't know what I'm doing in a studio like this, you know what I mean? But it was a treat to get to work in a facility of this caliber, especially in something that is the biggest project I've ever done.
It was a big project.
Yeah.
And it helps the rooms sound good. So, you know, history on the build, we had a guy named George Newbern at a place called Studio 440 in Hollywood. He designed the whole studio. So it's a legit design. And I can't explain all the details of it because I'm not one of those technical guys. I don't understand it. But the rooms are built right. They sound good. It makes working easy. It makes working fun. So that's part of the reason that when you sit here, it sounds so good. It's not like a bedroom that you got to retrofit, which nothing's wrong with that. I worked out of my house for 14 years.
I work out of my house still.
So I'm not putting that down at all. I'm just saying this is just a different environment to work in.
Totally.
So.
Did you used to have far fields in here?
No, so these we actually used to have closer. Chance came in and moved them back and tuned the room a little differently. It sounds amazing in here.
Cool.
It's best this room's ever sounded.
Tats didn't do this room. He just did A.
Yeah, he just did A.
We'll get into that one.
And Chance did a great job of making it Tats-ish. You know what I'm saying? So
nice. Yeah.
And then there's a couple great pieces of classic studio gear, the Eventide H3000s, which are just classic. The Eventide Harmonizer, which is classic, you know. Those are probably some of the biggest 80s and 90s boxes that engineers had to have, and we just still have them.
As you should. I mean, these are so sought after still.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could have every piece of this, I would. You got Burl in both studios, right?
Yes. So we have 2 channels. Basically, the console goes out into the Burl, back into Pro Tools, and it comes out of Pro Tools back into the console. So this room only has 2 channels of Burl. The other room has 48 out and 24 in.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Sick. Oh, this is also killer. The JD800.
Yeah.
I've actually never heard one. Can you describe?
Yeah, I mean, it's right when keyboards started crossing into the digital world, so they were trying to hang on to the analog control by giving you all the knobs and buttons, but it's basically a digital synth. You know, it's not like playing a Prophet 5 for sure.
I mean, it's very sexy.
It's a beautiful keyboard.
And then the unsung hero, this guy.
So my friend here, I'll show you this too. This is a fun thing because people always comment on this in pictures. This is just a micro Korg. And if you know what a micro Korg is, it's a flat little tiny keyboard like this. My friend Nick Hughes, this was his, and he sold it to me.
Oh, Nick is great.
He pulled the sides off, made these mini Moog shaped side wood panels, and then, you know, angled the top of it so it looks like a little mini Moog.
That's really cool.
He's just clever like
I wonder
that.
if we could, so we use the Mini Moog a lot in Mini Moog.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been there in Nashville?
I haven't. I've heard about it.
It's really cool.
I'm sure.
I wanted to do a factory tour, but we missed it by like an hour.
Oh, wow.
We missed it to get donuts instead, which I don't regret.
What a mistake.
Yeah. I don't regret it. I'll go back. But we use this a lot on the record that we're writing right now with my friend Trevor Arist, which, boy, I can't wait to show you that stuff.
Oh, I can't wait to hear it. That's a fun keyboard.
Yeah, it's really cool. Well, let's look at your machine room.
Okay.
Before we look at A.
Okay.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
After you.
Okay.
Machine rooms, the types of people that are watching this like this kind of stuff.
So just has a tape machine, computer. One of the fun things is if you look behind there, you'll see some tubes that go down into the floor. So all the ductwork in the building goes under the foundation of the building. And that way we're not breaking any holes in the walls, which are sound issues.
Right.
And in fact, if you see the walls themselves, these are all walls that go to the top of the building. None of them touch. So there's a wall here, then there's airspace, and then there's another wall. And if I tore that carpet up, you would see a seam between the foundations. So every room in the building has its own foundation poured separately so that the low end doesn't transfer under the wall. Now, it's not totally soundproof, but it's really good.
Pretty close.
Yeah.
Like from having worked in here before, when
Yeah.
I'd leave the room, even with the doors open,
Right.
it's insane.
Pretty good, yeah.
What kind of tape machine is this?
So that's an Atari, I think, could be a Tascam. I really don't remember. We actually used this the other day. A client brought in a tape he had not heard since the 80s that he recorded.
That's awesome. Is that quarter inch?
It's quarter inch, yeah. And he said, I said, your tape may shred. It may be toast, so you have to agree before I put it on. But it played perfectly. Yeah, well, the tape just gets brittle.
That's true.
Over the years. And he didn't bake it or anything. He goes, it doesn't sound like anything to me now. So if you put it on, it shreds. I haven't lost anything. But it was actually, it sounded incredible. It was beautiful.
That's awesome.
So, but I mean, honestly, we don't turn that on more than once every 5 years.
What if I wanted to print to that, though? I could?
You could.
Yeah.
And we tried it a few times. It really didn't. If it was a 1-inch machine, it would be fantastic.
Sure,
That's what I'd love to have. So that didn't really offer anything.
That's fair.
Just being honest.
And you're running the Mac Pro.
Yep.
In the Sonnet, which is cool.
It's funny. It's an old computer, and so we're still on Pro Tools 11 here. I'm not one of those guys that goes to the cutting edge. Everything works.
I don't like to upgrade if I can help
No,
it.
it never goes down. And I can't afford to be out of business for a day or two to fix some sort of software, incompatibility.
That's a real thing that people don't often think of, is like the business aspect of this.
Right.
So here's our booth for A.
Yep.
Well, there's a live room and a booth.
Yeah. It's actually a pretty big booth. You can fit a drum kit in here if you want a really tight sound. But there's also a lot of space if you're just doing acoustic guitar vocal or something. This is usually where I set the guitar amps, and we got a match list. This doesn't belong to me. I don't want anyone to think it's mine.
Whose is it?
It's Kendall Combs.
Kendall Combs.
Yeah, a lot of the musicians leave their gear here because they work out of here, and this is...
What's a safe space?
Yeah, it's great.
I would leave my stuff here.
And then that is my Vox, which is great too, but nothing beats this match list.
Is that an AC30?
It's an AC50.
AC50?
Yeah. It's really heavy. Don't ask me the differences. I do not know.
I don't care about that. Somebody watching this will know.
Yeah.
What do you have for your inner system or your listen?
Okay, so this is great. These are touch screens also. Oh, just pulled my mic. So it's basically a 24-channel mix system where we can, each person can control their own mix, and it's a touchscreen, so you just click on the instrument you want and turn it up and down. It's another great feature of this, which would be fantastic for live or the studio, is you could actually listen to somebody else's mix. So if there was a singer in here who wasn't good at mixing, she wanted to hear the guitar player's mix, she could solo it, hear his mix, and if she likes it, she could grab it. And import it right into her little system.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's fun.
I see something that I've never seen before, and I think I know why. What's this pencil trick?
So someone told me about this too, my friend Bryce. Do you know Bryce?
Bryce.
Bryce Zabrick.
I just know the name.
Okay, so he learned about it he used to work here, and he learned about it from somebody. And I rolled my eyes when I first saw it. I thought, that's ridiculous. It actually breaks up the plosives that don't get caught by the windscreen.
So when I first saw it, I was like, that is clever, and I would love to try, especially on these, because they could be so booming.
Yeah. I mean, it's an old man trick. You're thinking, that's so dumb, but it works.
Old man tricks in this trade seem to typically work.
Thank you. I appreciate that. At least we're good for something. So.
And then what do we have, Neumann?
It's a Neumann Cam 184. They're not bright. They're just pretty flat and natural to my ear. So you might compare that to like an AKG 451, which we also have and I love, but those are bright. So if I'm just doing a singer-songwriter, that's my choice.
Yeah. I definitely want to see your mic closet. In fact, why don't we go, because I kind of want to save the best for last.
Great.
Which is the Carl Tats. Okay. Yeah, so I'll follow you into your...
So one of my mics that I want to show you is back in Studio B. So let's just go back there real fast.
Okay.
It's one of my favorite mics.
Cool.
Sorry, guys. I know you
you're fine.
hate that I'm doing this. So.
You're fine. Mike is on sound today.
So this is one of my favorite mics. It's the C12 VR.
Ooh-wee.
So it's funny because people call it the new C12, but I mean I got it in like 1994 maybe.
Older is better in this world sometimes, right?
Yeah. So it is the new C12, but it's still what 93, 20, almost 30 years old. So it's a tube mic. It's fantastic.
Is that its power?
Yep, that's its power supply.
Cool. So what is this? Why do you love this mic so much?
Gosh, so it's super full. I mean, I hate to use words like warm and dark and things like that.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it's got a great full bottom, but it's got that highest air thing that happens at the top. Now, if you have a dark voice, this is not the mic for you.
This would be a good This would be a good mic for me.
Could be, yeah.
Well, I sing falsetto.
I mean, it's great female vocal mic too.
It's perfect for me.
It's just fantastic.
Because I sound like a female vocalist.
You're so funny. We have another two mic I'll show you when we get in there that I used to hate, but now I've learned to appreciate, which is it's the Lawson L47. It's kind of the opposite of this. It's super nasal, but it also makes it sit perfect in a mix.
Why did you hate it and why do you love it?
I hated it because it was nasal sounding when I compared it to this. And I had this first. So I got that and I'm like, oh, it sounds like garbage. It's thin and narrow. But as I grew as an engineer and learned less is better, I realized that mic, you can record it and it just sits perfectly.
Yeah.
This, I always have to carve out some low end.
So the reason why I asked that is actually because a lot of times people will think that they've got some gear that doesn't sound good or doesn't work. And I'm just like, take some time to learn the tool.
Yes.
And you can use almost any tool in any way.
Absolutely.
You just kind of have to know how to deploy it. So my grandfather, my papa, he was a woodworker. And I think I learned a lot from him in regards to how to use tools properly.
Right.
He taught me how to lathe. He taught me, he had a chisel set, like a really nice chisel set. And it didn't make sense to, a 9, 10-year-old.
Right.
But now I think about my tools like I'm in his shop in a way.
Wow.
And it really like an SM7 in my hands 10 years ago would not have been the same mic as it is now.
Yeah, agreed. Totally. In fact, I was about to go there with it because if you notice, the SM7 was set up in there. There we have a $350 mic setup. Here we have a $4,000 mic setup. Both are great tools.
Yeah.
Both are powerful tools.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't hurt when you're going through NEVE.
Well, okay.
So a lot of things do just get better when you're running stuff through analog signals. But
fair statement.
Yeah.
So.
Well,
Cool.
let's check out the mic.
Great.
The mic brigade.
All right.
Oh, this is amazing. The live room. Now, so this is what dreams are made of, in my opinion. Getting to have, is that a 103?
Right here, 103.
Yeah. I actually love those mics for voiceover.
They're great.
I think they're amazing.
Great voiceover mics because they have a big bottom. They're great acoustic guitar mics
And
too.
the copper tone.
You know what that is?
Wow, you
That's
got
awesome.
you got 3 441s.
Yeah, most people don't even know what those are. Who are you?
Bro, well, I'm a guy that loves this kind of stuff.
You have to be because people are like, "What's that stupid mic?"
I'm a gear nerd.
Mm-hmm.
No, I was working at an AV company years ago, and we were in a church in Ponca City, and they had a 441 just chilling, and I was broke at the time, or else I would have been like, "Can I buy this mic from you for $200?"
Oh gosh, of course you would.
Yeah, and they probably would have been like, "Sure,
it just
yeah."
sits here. We don't even know what it is.
I do regret that. In fact, you know what? Now that I think about it, I may just give them a call.
They may still have it there.
Yeah, they might.
That's awesome.
Please go into as much detail as you'd like.
I mean, let's start here. This is the 441. It's a
is for
Sennheiser.
Nerds.
I mean, it's funny. They're so old that they're taped in. I mean, these mics, bro, I'm not kidding. I probably got this in 1987, 88, 89 maybe.
How much, do you mind me asking how much it was at the time?
I mean, if I remember right, it was probably in the $900 range.
Jeez.
So
Did it predate the 421?
I don't know.
Okay.
They could have been out at the same time. I got them both at the same time.
If anyone knows when the 421 came out versus when the 441, I would just leave a comment in this.
Yeah,
leave a comment. I'd
like to know. They're almost like an SM7 on steroids. You know, they're a dynamic mic. They're great for horns.
Yeah.
I've even used them on guitar amps. Drums. Phil Collins has used it to sing in. I mean, you know, people are like, "Who's Phil Collins?"
They're just. I don't think Phil Collins is ever going to go out of style.
Hope not. Of course, the classic
441s.
Star Trek
421s.
Yeah, 421s for toms. And these, I mean, you've probably heard more hit records with these on the. I love them on kick drum though.
Yeah. So there's one drawback to the 421, and it is the mounting.
Oh yeah. What's up with that?
They just slide off.
Yeah.
I know there are people that make mounts for them now that don't do that.
Oh, that would be nice.
I think they're like 3D printed.
I'm actually surprised this still works as old as it is because it's probably back from 87 or 88.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
I love the build out of this whole thing. And again, we'll come back.
Sure.
And shoot close. What else we got?
These are nothing sexy D112s. People are like, why do you still use that? Don't you like the this or this? And they name all these modern mics. And those are probably great. But the way I think of it is I am a builder and I've been building for 30 years and this was my first hammer and it still works.
That's great.
You know, so I love it. It's
That's
great.
how I feel about the 57.
That's exactly how I feel about it. In fact, so Kevin Lively, another fantastic engineer.
He's a mastering engineer.
Mastering,
mostly, right?
yeah, you should probably go over there. That'd be a great place to go to.
Yeah, that's actually a great idea.
So we had some students ask us both, if we could only have one microphone in the world, what would it be?
SM57.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Because an SM57 can record everything.
Everything.
And pretty well.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
Can handle high SPLs.
Yes. So
And
it's crazy.
it does have character.
It does. It really
so-
does. And it's funny, you see I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, one fell down there, 5, and there's probably that one on amp, so I have 6. When I started, I had 10, and I know, oh, there's one back there. One broke. In my entire career, one has broken.
That's actually shocking.
But mostly, people walk out with them. And I'm shocked. I'm thinking, I've had a 30-something year career, very little problem with any client, yet people still feel okay walking out with headphones and microphones. Just thank goodness they haven't taken an 87.
Do you get them back?
No.
That's weird.
I mean, people just, I guess, in the
Bro,
bag.
if I was walking out with a mic, it would not be a 57.
Right,
It would
yes.
probably be the 441 or
Isn't that
maybe
funny?
one of these boys that you're probably
Right.
about to tell us
Oh.
about.
It's like,
Motion sensor?
yeah, and I don't know why, because it's not supposed to be. There's something wrong with it. Okay, let's move on. TLM 103, we talked about that for a minute. I think it was designed for people who couldn't maybe afford a U87, but to me, it's its own mic.
It's designed for people like me that can't quite afford an 87 or a 67.
It's great though.
It's so
I
good.
use it I mean, there are times I grab this even though an 87's sitting there because it has a whole different sound. This is the Lawson L47 I was telling you about. It's a tube microphone. It's supposed to sound like a U47, but I've never heard a real U47, so I don't know, but it sounds great. My first reaction was...
The size of that thing.
My first reaction was it was nasally, but now I've learned it's just perfect, you know?
Dude, that's gorgeous. That is gorgeous.
Great for country vocals, rock vocals, anything that needs to sit in a dense mix.
And this is the 103, which one of my favorite things about this thing is not obviously the way it sounds, but the build quality, man.
Oh, gosh.
I actually think the 102 is a great mic as well. I don't know the differences, though.
I don't either.
Yeah, but which is fine.
I mean, you'd think I was a gear guy, but I'm not really.
Do you mind me just grabbing these?
Grab anything you want.
What do we have here?
My favorite mic in the cabinet. It's a FET 47.
Great on kick?
The greatest kick mic of all time.
You think so?
Of all time. And I love it on vocals. People are like, what?
What's the character of a U47 for those who've never heard it?
Pillowy on the low end, if anyone wants to translate that. It just has the perfect amount of low end fuzziness, you know? It's kind of like this.
A little bit of a squeeze?
Yeah.
Have you ever held a 47?
So Jeff Hall and I are making a drum library. And we are in.
Can we come and film some of that?
Oh, I'd love it.
That'd be
We've
great.
already done the kick drums, but we're about to do snares or toms.
Snares are more sexy.
Yeah. We did 6 or 7 kicks. We're calling it American Classics because it's all the drums that people.
You doing it all here?
Yeah, we started it, but we did 4 mics on the kick. We did the 47, we did the D112. He has a D12, and he has a Telefunken we used. My favorite by far is that mic.
Yeah, this is
just by far.
Yeah, I mean you have like so many like desert island mics. What's the goal behind that library? I'm curious. It's a great way to plug it.
Okay, yeah. So when we started, really my idea was I wanted all Jeff's drums so that I could use them as trigger sources.
So for context, Jeff Hall, and you know, honestly, I may try to reach out to him.
You have to go
This
out
guy's
there.
like a legendary drummer. He's got his own studio.
And it's a great studio.
I've heard. I've only seen photos, but this dude is an amazing drummer, and he's a collector. I'd say.
He really is. He has the most sought after drums you could have, and they're all in pristine quality. He takes care, and he knows everything about them too.
Yeah.
So he'll pull out a drum and give you a history lesson on it. He's fascinating.
This is great. You're setting me up for success. This is great. Okay, so this is actually, we used this as the geek mic on the Suns record that we tracked back in 2010.
Okay.
Copper tone, right?
Yeah, I love that you know that.
Yeah. Tell me more about this.
Copper phone, isn't it?
Copper tone, copper phone.
It could be both.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna get roasted in the comments, but I don't care.
So we bought it because it had a weird sound and a cool look.
Yeah.
That's totally why we bought it. And at first I just used it for weird effects, and then I realized, oh no, I can actually mix that in with some great sounds. So I might put a 57 on an amp, but I also might put that on. And then when the solo comes in, I might boost that up because
that's cool.
You actually can just get a little more
honky
sound. It's
right?
honky, narrow, nasal.
Yeah.
It sounds like a 1920s record player.
It sounds like its name.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Absolutely.
I feel like something I would be keen on doing. So we used it, you know, sometimes on the kit, the geek mic will go, say, like here.
Right, yep.
And I see a lot of guys using 57 or the SM7 here now.
Yeah.
But we used it, and Jared Fox gets all the credit for this. Jared Fox was our engineer. He had it right here, if I recall
I can't wait to try it.
Yeah. You may try it on the drum library.
Good thought.
Just right here behind the head. I don't know that it matters a lot.
Right.
I think you probably put it over here because it's further away from the hats.
Right.
But just an idea.
Yeah, I love it. I'm into trying all those kinds of things.
What's this?
That is a Neumann 191 stereo overhead. For a while, I tried to keep secret that I had it because it was accidental. A guy came in one day, Steve Short, another great drummer in town. He came in with an 87 and that and said, "Are you interested in these?" And I said, I have enough 87s, but I don't even know what that is. Let me goof with it. So we put it on acoustic guitar, and it was a mind-blowing moment. And we put it on drum overheads, and I never have used another drum overhead since. And here's why. It's probably because of my inefficiencies as an engineer, not because it's a great mic. It's in phase all the time.
All the time.
I don't have to get the overheads in phase.
Yeah.
Wherever I put it, it's in phase. The most I have to do is just move it around for balance. And the way I record drums, it's the perfect amount of roll-off at the bottom. So it just sits perfectly.
Yeah.
And so I don't have to fight overheads anymore.
So it doesn't get boomy?
No.
Nice.
No, perfect.
Have you ever used it as a room?
No, I usually use the tubes and put them way at the back, and I use different tubes so they don't match.
That's
just
a
so
good
I have
idea.
a little different character.
Tubes, meaning?
The C12 and the Lawson 47.
And then, are these all 47s?
Which one?
Oh, sorry.
Those are all 87s.
87s is what I meant.
It's just one of those things you can't have too many 87s.
It's true. Do you have a favorite?
No, they're numbered because different ones There's a couple that when you flip the pad on, they just get noisier. And I think how weird that because I'm not a technical guy, I don't get it. You're putting the pad on and now it's noisier. So we have them marked. I know Chance definitely pulls out different ones for different things.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I would be like, if I was going to be in here, I'd probably take all 4 and throw them through the same channel with the same settings and see
the differences.
Yeah. This is a legendary mic for those who don't know. Everybody, I'm assuming anybody clicking on this is going to know.
They have to know what that is. So the thing about an 87 is it's not always the perfect mic for somebody, but it's a mic that works on everybody.
Yeah, so. That's a great way to put it. And then what are these Audio Technica, right?
Yeah, so these are 4050s, which are basically an attempt at being a U87, and these are 4033s, which would probably be an attempt at being a TLM. They're actually great mics. So
they're more cost effective, right?
Way more. So yeah, this is probably in the $700 range as opposed to the $3,200 range. Now I'll tell you this: every semester I teach a class for ACM, and the kids come in and we set up 9 different microphones, and I have 2 singers, a girl and a guy, and they sing on them. These kids don't know what mic's being happen, and we listen to them. We talk about our favorites, and I have the kids pick their favorite mics and their least favorite, and I have them pick the one they think is the most expensive and the cheapest. And I have had kids pick the 4050 as their favorite mic.
Okay, let me ask you this. This is for personal gain only. Mm-hmm. Could I borrow them sometime?
Yeah, you can take them now if you want.
I'm not going to do that because I don't have anything to track right now.
Okay, yes, you can borrow them anytime.
But because I actually am interested. So you said the 4050 is an attempt at the 87.
Yes.
And the 4033s is more an attempt at the 103.
I mean, I'm going to say probably it doesn't have nearly the bottom end of a 103.
Cool.
But it's just a very inexpensive condenser mic. That sounds great. I mean, I had thought about putting those up in the lobby instead of the 81s.
The 81s are kind of a classic. Like
yeah.
They're, the small diaphragm condenser.
Yes. Yeah.
Dude, wow. Wow. And then what's going on over here?
So this is a 9-foot Baldwin, and we've had it a long time. It didn't sound very good for a long time, but then our piano tuner, Bob Shear, basically begged me to do work on it because it sounded so bad. I don't know what he did. He pulled the hammers out and did things. It's just a really big sounding, vibey piano.
Really big sounding, vibey piano. May I?
Go for it.
Ooh.
I mean,
listen to that. It's gorgeous.
We have it in here because this room is liver, so.
Oh, I should play you something that you know.
Oh gosh, if you play the Eddie theme and make me cry.
I forgot. Do you remember?
I'll remember it the minute you play it.
Does anyone remember how that thing goes?
How could you not remember that, bro? At the end, when she says, "Thanks, coach," oh, and you do the little motif or what?
So maybe I was looking for a little more glory. I forgot. Yeah, I'll try to remember it. And if I can, I'll come back in and I'll play it.
Fun stuff.
I want to get LG crying on camera.
Oh no,
for
please
sure.
not.
Is there anything cool over here?
Yeah, that's my DX7.
Ooh.
I mean, that's 1983. That's the first keyboard I ever owned, and I still use it.
Okay, so this is how you know how cool LG is. His first keyboard was a Yamaha DX7, right? That is so cool.
You're so funny.
I'm just being honest here. Is there anything neat back here? Or is it all just like
there's some drums. Yeah. That's where we keep our extra drums.
Cool.
Percussion box. I mean, this is kind of fun. I don't even know how old this is. Does Pringles even still use that logo?
I think they do. It's a classic. I think they do. Okay,
and there's some probably good guitars in the cases. I know Kendall's got his Les Paul there, which is amazing.
Well, you know what? I don't care. No, I'm kidding. What I do want to do now is the grand finale.
No. I got one more thing before the grand finale.
Please, yes,
Come on
please.
back through here. So if you notice, the rooms all sound different as you walk through them. Here's our dead 70s.
Oh, that's right. We have the booth.
Check that out. And then the thing at the back of the room, which is one of the greatest things here that makes the music group special. Not that.
No?
Turn to your right.
Oh, the tank.
That's the plate.
The plate.
The EMT. That's a real 140 plate that everyone models.
Okay, well, in fairness, this is also amazingly cool.
I was recording it this morning.
The Leslie.
Yep, Leslie
right?
for the Hammond B3.
Yeah. But tell me about this.
So it's a 140. Like if you pull up a plug-in of a plate, it's usually modeling this guy.
EMT? Is
EMT,
that? Yeah.
yep. And we actually got it from Christian World when they went out of business, and it was actually built into their wall. So we had to pull this frame off the wall and then just slide this thing out. But it's literally a big plate in there with a microphone and a speaker. And then this is the damper. It's a wheel. I don't touch it because I like right where it sits.
Yeah,
but that will make the reverb longer or shorter.
What do you have it? Do you know kind of like what it's at right now? Or?
It's just a little under 2 seconds.
Nice.
But it's just, I mean, really, at this studio, at this point in my career, this and the lobby are my main reverbs.
So if I tracked a vocal at my house, I could bring it here, and we could run it through all your circuitry, and we could print a plate.
Yep.
So we live in a modern era. So let's say there's a kid or a guy in Connecticut, and he's tracking out of his studio, but he really wants that like real reverb. He could send you files, and you could send him back printed mixes of his stuff with this stuff on it, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Isn't that amazing to you?
It is amazing. But I'm going to be honest with you, because I have one.
Yeah.
The plugins are really good.
The plugins are good.
Really, really good.
But there are those of us who are purists.
There's something special. Yes.
I don't know that I'm a purist, but I think if there's ever an opportunity, why not?
Bro, that's where I'm at in life. I try to use these things. And I'll print them so I don't have to always recall them.
Yeah.
Or plug them back up.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is something unique and special. But if you closed your eyes and in the middle of a dense mix sent to this or sent to the plugin, I'd say most people will never know the difference.
Most people,
Yeah.
yeah. Sometimes, and I'm finding that there's some people that don't care on both sides. There's some people that don't care that people won't know the difference, and then there's some people that don't care that people that won't know the difference, they still want it.
Right, totally. And there's some people too, I love this one, they'll ask, hey, does the 1176 plugin sound like the 1176? I'm like, it doesn't even matter. Because do you like what the plugin does?
Yeah.
I use the plugins all the time, and I have an 1176 also.
Well, in plugins, so I work in film and TV, as you know, recallability is important.
Absolutely.
So I almost don't have any outboard gear.
Right.
So, and that's for that reason.
Yeah.
Well, that reason and budgetary
Right.
restrictions.
Sure, sure.
Okay, so Studio A?
Yep, let's do it.
All right, I'll go ahead. Here we are. Studio A.
Woohoo!
The crown jewel.
Yeah.
Right?
I hope. The best thing about this room is something you can't even see, and it's the Carl Tatz tuning job.
Yeah.
You sit in that seat, and there is something about the sound in this room.
Yeah.
Makes it different. I mean, it hurts my billing because mixes are done quicker, and there are far fewer recalls now because what you hear sitting in that seat is so accurate that when you take it outside, there's very little changes. No one calls me because the bass is too loud anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
So it hurts your billing in a way.
In a way.
In a way, I think it actually can enhance your billing because you're able to do more mixes.
We absolutely can.
Right?
Yeah.
There you go.
I mean, we kind of joke about how the better studio gear gets and the better we get, the less we can make because obviously everything happens faster. But it lets us be more creative and people enjoy that. No one wants to send a mix back to me 10 times because we can't get it to sound the way it did in the studio.
Yeah.
If they send it back, it's because we have a preference difference.
Yeah.
Well,
I know mixing Eddie in here may have been one of the greatest challenges we've faced.
That was tough.
Because it was so much, and there was still so much left to be done in a way. Boy, you
were amazing to watch though. Your skills at cleaning up audio.
Oh,
man,
thanks.
Bro, get out of here. I'd have walked away.
Wow.
We need to reshoot this scene.
Yeah, there was a lot of that. There was a whole lot of that.
Go around. You can look at the gear in the racks.
So aside from just being a Carl Tatz room, this sucker, this was a big deal. This actually appeared in some publications.
Yeah, so the great thing about this NEVE console, because any NEVE console is going to be fantastic, but this is modern enough that it doesn't require a room of power supplies and a $1,000 electric bill every month. So it's built in the new era, so the power supplies are built into the console and small, but it's built with all the NEVE components. So the size of the mix, the summing aspect of the console is Neve. The Mike Pre's are 1073. It has 2 styles of EQ on it, you know?
Yeah.
And it has the classic Neve compressor, so you get the benefits of everything that made Neve what they are without the headache of a 1980s Neve console.
Yeah, and these are 1073s, right?
Yeah.
1073s.
48 of them.
I actually didn't know you had compression built in.
Yep. Eight of the channels have compression. So this console is modular enough that you tell it what EQs you want, what compressors you want, and you have to buy them. So, what also makes this affordable is, you know, if you were buying a classic 80s Neve that had a compressor on every channel and an EQ on every channel, you'd be limited by your dollars. Here, I can say, I want to add 8 channels, you know.
Yeah.
And do it as you can afford it.
And tons of routability, right?
Yeah, it's pretty fantastic.
I see you've got you know, your reverbs, you got your plate. What's an M5000?
So it's a pretty old school reverb right here, this TC Electronics. It's definitely their flagship reverb, even though they have newer, more high-tech models. The M5000 kind of has a cult following, and it's just a luscious TC Electronic verb.
I'm trying to think of David Bendith has there's a Yamaha
SPX90,
I think.
SPX 1000. They had several models.
I can't remember it. I may even be like an XPS 50. I don't remember, but that's one I've been wanting for a while. But I just, again, it's like, why?
So I have one I can loan you. But
wait, really?
It's at JT Merle has it right now.
Okay.
He came in and looked through the closet of old stuff I had, and he goes, "Here, I'll borrow this."
Wait, it was in there. Oh, it is the 90.
Yeah,
it's the 90.
So
yeah, when you get it back from him,
it's
then
a
I'll
classic piece. You know, it has a couple patches that are sought after.
Yeah.
You know?
I know that he talked a lot about how that was the drum sound for Paramore.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Well, Paramore before they started working with Justin Meldal Johnson.
Right.
But I'm gonna go ahead and say what all we have here. You got a couple of DBX 160As, the FS 900s, which are
de-essers.
What's his name? Adam from Owl City really loves those. Mm-hmm. What's the AMEC?
So that's a stereo compressor from the 1998 console, which was their flagship console designed by Rupert Neve. So even though it's AMEC, it is a Rupert Neve AMEC. And it's just a stereo compressor. I use them on drum overheads. Unbelievable.
1176.
Yeah,
classic.
and an original one. Like there's no connector on the back. You have to hardwire in straight to the pins. Yeah.
That's good stuff. The BAE's 1073 clones?
No, they are compressors. But,
cool.
But Neve clones, yeah.
Cool.
And they're my kick and snare compressor.
A couple of distressors.
Yep.
Some SSLs. Are these EQ?
Those are compressors.
Yep. If I looked close enough, I could see.
Yeah, they all look the same.
The 512,
yep.
the Chandler Limited, a few of the 550Bs from API, and then my friend Tony Anderson. I don't know if he still has one. I think he might have the rack-mounted version. Tony Anderson is a legendary composer, lives out in LA. Mm-hmm. He's from Kentucky. We met in Joplin originally. He's a big name right now. He loves this Obsidian compressor.
Yeah, it's if you can't get an original SSL G series, then you need that because that's just like it. The new G series ones that they sell they're not real.
That's what I hear.
They don't sound like the SSLs. So that Obsidian is like, a lot of people don't know what it is. You impress me that you do. So
I only know, I'm always looking for, there are budgetary constraints within my world because I don't run a commercial facility and I don't have, near the client base that you do, but I'm always looking for stuff like that, and I think I want to get back into the 500 game.
Yeah.
The Millennia, this is cool.
Yeah, it's a single channel mic pre that can be 2 or solid state with a compressor and EQ. It's almost exclusively my kick out channel.
It looks like a spaceship.
It's funny. It's just got this gorgeous EQ. So it's all, I never turn it on except when I'm tracking drums and it goes on the kick out.
And then I'm curious. Oh, you got a Space Echo. Very cool. I'm curious. This TC2240 parametric EQ from TC Electronics. I've never seen that.
Yeah, a guy talked me into buying it back in the 90s, and it was great. It's really noisy today. It needs some work, so I never turned it on.
Okay.
But it was interesting because it was full. You could dial in anything. I thought I was cool enough to know what I was doing. Yeah. I don't.
It looks like one of those pieces that is like very utilitarian.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've kind of gone away from that. I'm much more in the old school world. Like, I love that the APIs have fixed frequencies and you have to go 2 dB.
Do you like the step?
I love
Yeah.
it. And when I first got them, they scared me because I felt like I don't have the choice. Why are they forcing me to this? Well, now I know, I've learned they force me to it because that's the right thing.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. I don't. So,
Bro, so you know that I'm going to do a bunch of these studio tours, but you were my first call.
bro, I'm honored.
And
I
well,
really am.
A lot of it is like obviously because of who you are and that we've worked together, but also this room, in my opinion, may be the best room in the state.
Thank you so much.
And I think that has a lot to do with you, and that has a lot to do with Chris, and that has a lot to do with Carl Tatz.
Carl Tatz is the man for sure.
What are we listening on here?
So these are Dyne Audio Air 25s. I don't know the model. We had them for several years before Carl Tatz came in, and of course I've always had the NS10s. I wasn't really impressed with these when we got them.
Yeah.
We just needed a bigger footprint in the room. I had the BM15s, which I loved. And they didn't get very loud either. Carl Tatz comes in here and spends 3 days doing what he does. And
3 days.
I can't even explain, but I can tell you, we watched him. First of all, he changed speaker stands. These are mounted in the floor, so they do not move.
And they're like his thing.
They're his thing.
And they're subs, right?
Yep, his subs. And then there's just some DSP back there he put in. But I mean, these things literally will not move a millimeter. And then he actually pulled components. I know I sound really dumb in this because I don't know what he's doing, but he pulled components and changed the direction that they shot the audio out. He had lasers going for this one spot. He EQ'd for a couple days. He brought us in. Then he sent us back out. It still wasn't right, and then he spent another day.
Wow.
And to me, it was all nonsense. It was my partner that wanted to do it, and my fear was, what if I don't hear the difference?
Yeah.
It was really one of those moments. But when I sat in there and heard songs that I've been listening to for 20 years, 30 years, in a way I'd never heard them, I was like, I would never open a studio today without bringing in Carl Tatz. I mean, seriously, if I had to rebuild before I budgeted for anything,
he would be
budgeted in it.
Well,
it just makes such a difference in the work.
It unfortunately won't translate over a YouTube video, but
Right.
before we leave, I want, especially Micah, who went to school for this, to sit here and listen to a song or two. Last thing I think we haven't touched on is your tubus over here is just ridiculous.
I mean, bro, I'm just blessed. God's been so good to us. So yeah, this sits on the tubus of the console, but it's also in the patch bay, so I can take it out and put something else in if I want.
So you got a Shadow Hills.
Mm-hmm.
Does this have a name? I don't even.
Mastering compressor.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
They don't have anything else like it.
There's literally people at home right now like rolling their eyes at us.
They're laughing, thinking the guy hasn't, he doesn't know what it is, he doesn't deserve it, and they're right, I don't deserve it. It's a 2-stage compressor that the mix goes through, and again, it's one of those things that I really didn't understand how to use it, but I finally got it set. I don't even touch it anymore. I actually control the level that I'm sending out of the console into it because I know where I want it to hit. So when the meter hits where I want it to hit, that's when I know it's right.
That's part of like being a good engineer, in my opinion, is not that you're not willing to change, but once you find what works and you can get consistently good results, why bother?
Right, yeah.
And then you've got the curve bender.
Yeah, and that I'll adjust just depending on the vibe of what I'm mixing, but there's no EQ like that. I really don't understand it or get it. But it's almost like, and I truly believe this, and someone who's watching may be able to explain why it does this. If everything's flat and I just flip it in and out, I can hear a difference. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I want to hear a difference.
Well, there's a lot of people that say just throwing signals through analog circuitry like just makes a difference, whether it's the way that it touches the transients, warms it up. It's more, I think it has a lot to do with being a human.
Right.
And that sounds kind of strange, but I think the human ear hears things that are made by humans, like actual things, and maybe it just adds some sweetness to what we're hearing.
Right. It has to. I can't understand technically why it does it, but I just know when I flip in and out, there's a difference.
That sounds so esoteric for me to say, but I believe it. I really do. I remember the first time I heard a signal going through an 1176 that wasn't even being compressed, and I was like, holy crap, that sounds so good.
What is that?
It's amazing. And it can separate the boys from the men, I think, in a lot of ways when it comes to like what you can offer, but you still have to know how to use these things.
Right.
Which, like going back to the SM7, it's like just learn your tool.
Right.
if all you have is a 57, and for those at home, like Christian Henson, who's like a hero of mine, he's like, if there's one tool that you can get, not just as a composer, not just as a recording engineer, but like even if you're wanting to do sampling, 57.
Right.
It can do everything you need it to. So for those at home, if you are budget conscious, you can get on eBay right now and probably find an SM57 for $50.
Easily.
So,
or 10 of them.
It's been an absolute treat to come in here. I was so thankful that we were able to use your facility and work with you to do the Eddie mix, which was the biggest project of my life.
Bro, I was grateful for the chance. I'd always wanted to do movie type things, and obviously, beyond the job, we joked all through that because I just cried through the whole process. The movie was so great. Your music was great. And I just was honored you would allow me to be a part of it. And the same here. When you called and wanted to do this, I'm like, oh my gosh, why would you call me? So thank you for calling me.
Well, there's also a feeling of, I don't know, you kind of feel like royalty when you're working in a facility like this. It's like there's a level of prestige, I think, that's attached to this place. And that's another reason, I think, why people call you is a studio like this is hard to come by, and you guys have put so much thought into making an extraordinarily good place to work out of that. Like, there's just not a whole lot of reason to go elsewhere.
Man, I want it to be an everyday place. I know sometimes people may have the imagination that this place is some sort of corporate world, but it's not. I mean, look at me, bro.
Yeah,
I
I don't see this corporate at all.
I'm glad, and I want people to know that I just want this to be a place that feels good, and people to know that I'm going to be an honest guy and be, true to my word for them and do a good job for them.
Well, I can say from my experience that's all true, and so a great caveat is what's the best way to get in touch with you if somebody wants to work?
So really the only social media I'm on is Instagram, and it's TMGOKC.
TMGOKC.
Yeah, and my email's easy, lg@1791.com.
lg@1791.com.
That's it.
I'll make sure and put that stuff in the show notes, as they say. But this is the inaugural studio tour for my YouTube channel, and
I know you'll have a lot of great ones coming because there's some great people.
Bro,
thanks,
love you,
man. Love you too. You're awesome.
See you on the next side here. Cut.